started. My name's Lydia. I'm the president-elect of SNDA, and it's my first meeting that I'm giving. Yay! Okay, so this is Miss Brooke. She's going to be our guest speaker today. She's from Women's Hospital, so I'm going to turn it over to her. Miss Brooke.
You didn't even attempt the last name, though.
No, I thought about it.
No, that's okay. So, Lydia asked me to come and speak, and I'm assuming it's just to give y'all an introduction to what I do and my pathway as a dietitian. As you can see, that is a very old picture. I have aged quite a bit since then, having 2 kids, but that's exciting because you can be a working mom and still be very successful. So just a little bit about me. Graduated from LSU, undergrad, grad, did internship at Tulane, loved every bit of it. It was a wonderful experience. In my internship, I went in thinking I hate clinical, I don't want to do clinical, and it was totally transformative. I learned so much, and it was wonderful because at the time when I got out, there were no jobs. There we go. Now it's free. And so, being that was the case, and I knew where I wanted to be, I ended up doing a PRN gig as a clinical dietitian on the inpatient side, and it was great. It was a good hands-on experience. Dabbled in research a little bit at Pennington, wasn't the right fit for me, and then I ended up at Women's in 2014, and I've been there ever since. And so, if you think of Women's Hospital, how many of y'all are from Baton Rouge? Yeah, y'all, #1 birthing hospital in Louisiana, right? So we birth a lot of babies, but unfortunately, I don't work with as many pregnant women as you may think. So I actually see more metabolic style patients, so people with PCOS, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver. So that is primarily what my role was when I was outpatient clinical, but during that time I moved upwards, so I was supervisor, and now I manage a team. So I have an interesting setup. I think it's a bit unique to Women's. I don't know if Baton Rouge General or the Lake has this type of service, but just food for thought for y'all. So we have a clinical team where I have 2 diabetes educators who are dietitians. I have a dietitian who works specifically with bariatric surgery. I have a dietitian who works in our outpatient cancer pavilion with our oncology patients. And then I've got a dietitian over at the Wellness Center who sees our metabolic patients, our gastrointestinal patients, and our pediatric patients. Then I also have our weight loss programs, which are things like commercial style programs. I've helped create one of our holistic programs that is in combination with our personal trainers, because I do work at the Wellness Center. So I'm actually on that little oasis on Bluebonnet and Jefferson, if y'all have ever been. So we have a fitness team over there. We've got therapy. And so we have weight loss programs, and so with that team, I have 4 health coaches that we teach a nutrition protocol. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself and the other dietitian, and then they help with the accountability portion. And then it's wonderful because we collaborate with the fitness side on, what's working, how hard are y'all working, what do we need to do as far as a food plan goes, because these people, their goal is to lose weight or to gain skeletal muscle mass, or I want to get pregnant, and I'm here because I need to boost my ovulation and my fertility. So you get all walks of life. So it's really, really fun. And then also where I'm at, so we have fitness, we have nutrition, and then we also have speech, audiology, OT, PT. I had to think about it. And so it's a very collaborative relationship. A big part of my job is clinical programming. So what can we implement that is going to be what the patient wants? What are people interested in? And we put together a package, and then does it work? So a lot of what I do is development and then tracking of outcomes and data. So still a little bit of that research nerd that I was back in the day, but I just found the appropriate setting for me, which has been great. So a lot of, process improvement. I don't know if y'all have to do anything like that in y'all's classes right now. Yes, no, maybe so. It's awesome because you do something and you're like, oh, this is amazing, and it might make sense to you, but doesn't make sense to the lay people. And that is one thing that I've learned as a dietitian. Don't assume. don't assume anything. What you know, which seems so organic and so natural to you, is not the case for a lot of people. So you are just coming in with a knowledge base that is absolutely phenomenal. And I really feel like I don't consider myself a dietitian as much as I consider myself an educator. So I'm teaching people all day long. And even though I'm not as involved in the clinical side, I'm still teaching other people how to teach. So I teach these people how to implement a weight loss program. I teach these people, personal trainers, how to talk to a client about nutrition without going out of their scope. I'll talk to this team of dietitians about how to cross-refer. I talk to PT and OT. Oh, you're having a patient who's got horrible arthritis in their knee. Okay, well then do they need to lose weight? Oh, you've got a patient with pelvic floor issues. Oh, they're constipated. Well, we can do nutrition therapy for that. So it's really interesting how important nutrition is. I mean, you have to eat to live, right? And so I will find a way to get a service as long as you can bring them to me. And so I guess words of wisdom, unfortunately right now, because insurance doesn't cover a lot of our services on the outpatient side, you are working, thankfully, with a group of people that want to be there. So I'll say that. So it's harder to get people to schedule, but the ones that come are ready and willing to soak in the information. But it's not always, gangbusters like it is in the hospital where you got people in the beds waiting for you to come in and give them below sodium education. So words of wisdom is, you're doing this because you are passionate about food and you're passionate about food as medicine. That is a big movement. I'm assuming y'all are studying that right now. Being more proactive rather than reactive, which unfortunately I feel like our insurance side, without getting political, is kind of in that reactive state right now. So with that being said, I feel like what I didn't know going in is that sometimes the pay isn't always what I thought it would be when I got in to it. So just as an FY, but go into your internship with an open mind and an open heart. And I'm open to questions. I don't know if that was too quick and dirty or whatever. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and so I'm open to questions if y'all have any. Yeah. Right. So fortunately, because a lot of our patients who need financial assistance have some type of other illness, we have a lot of grant programs. So a part of my job is to help secure that grant funding. And so nutrition and food security is a big issue right now. And I'll give you a for instance, like we have a lot of grant funding for our cancer population. So if you're going through chemotherapy, radiation, you're getting hit pretty hard. And surprisingly, dietetic services on the outpatient side for cancer is not covered. Typically, I would say maybe 50% of the time. So at that point, we actually have a program where they go through physical therapy, and then from there, they are entered into our food and exercises medicine program. So they meet with a personal trainer, a dietitian, and we teach them about survivorship. And then we have a few other grant programs. We have one for arthritis, and we have one for our patients who have obesity, who have Medicaid insurance. Medicaid does not cover anything unless you have diabetes or urinary renal failure. So that's what we do at Women's. And other hospitals, depending on the size of the hospital, and that's the setting I know, so that's what I can speak to, they might be able to see them with no charge because, there's other costs that can offset that in an organization. Did I answer your question? Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Did you have a question?
I was wondering about like your CEUs since just changed so many hats in the past.
Yes, I have. That's why I'm a little crazy. Like, what do I do for my CEUs?
Like, what was that kind of for you? Like, did you see yourself looking at different stuff before you changed hats or titles, or were you kind of following along with it?
So, I'll be honest with you. Because of where I'm at and the role I've been placed in, I'm actually the quality coordinator of our diabetes program. And so my 15 hours of continuing education, because I'm not a CES, has to be in diabetes care. So That's how I honed in on that one. But as far as what I get my CEUs in, I still try to be clinically relevant. So that is what I do, A, because it interests me, B, because nutrition science is always changing, and we're up against a lot, guys. I mean, bloggers and influencers and all this hoopla drives me insane, because anybody can say anything on the internet, right? So I try to make sure that I stay relevant and educated, because your degree is worth something, your credentials worth something. And then on top of that, we did leadership type stuff. So I got that type of education and information in another platform. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of different responsibilities and like daily tasks do you have that's different in your management position from when you started as like a clinical?
So all the wonderful stuff that goes with managing people, right? So are you coming to work? Are you coming to work on time? Do you have the continuing education you need for your licensure? What does your workflow look like? And is there a way for us to improve upon that process? Are we giving our patients relevant and accurate information? Is the science behind this handout changing, and then we need to update our thought process on that? Are we tracking outcomes? So, you saw this patient XYZ time. If we're trying to increase referrals from a specific provider, they want to know, what are you doing with their patient and is it working? Not just how many they sent. So if you can say, oh, I saw Sally, Susie, and Claire, and within 3 visits, we were able to lower their A1C by 0.5%, that's how you get more referrals. So that's some of the stuff that I do. And then a big part of my job now is working with fitness. So how can we engage fitness members who are part of the wellness center in our service line, make us more front of mind, if you will, and so that way they get a value added. So I pay this membership and I can come and do more than just get on a treadmill. I can learn about nutrition. We do a lot of community education classes, so not just for our fitness members, but also for the community, because nutrition, there's a gap in coverage that we just talked about earlier. So what do people want to know about? So like right now, I'm a diabetes prevention program lifestyle coach. And pre-diabetes is big. I don't know if y'all have seen some of the billboards around town about the 1 in 10 and the sharp attack or whatever.
I saw the other day and I was like,
yeah, it's very interesting, right? So anyway, so we'll do classes on how to prevent type 2 diabetes or whatever. So that's kind of the day-to-day. I do a lot of workflow process improvement, a lot of community education development. And I love it. And I'm, because I'm super passionate, I get on my soapbox a lot. And so I'm always thinking, like, how do we make our employees more engaged? How do we get, how do we get more people in the door? That is my job. How do I get more people in the door to utilize their services? And then how do I keep my people as productive as possible? And how do keep my employees happy at the same time? So that's my job in a nutshell, I guess. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah, so I would say right now, and this again is specific to where I'm at Women's, I would say maybe, anywhere between 30 to 50%, depending on the time of year, these patients are actually coming in by word of mouth. Or I call it off the street. That's a terrible way to put it, but they saw something, they heard something, they want to come to Women's, so not through a physician. And what I have learned a lot is that patients really need to be their own advocate, because not to say that all doctors don't refer to dietitians, but I think this is my perception, okay? I just want to preface it, this is my perception and not maybe what reality is, but because there is a known gap in insurance coverage, I think that doctors may be hesitant to refer to a dietitian because they don't want their patient to incur a cost. If I'm going too in depth, you just tell me.
No, you're okay.
I'm okay.
You're great.
All right. So because of that, I've had many patients tell me, oh, I had to ask my doctor. I told him I wanted to come. I wanted to come to Women's. So with that being said, I feel like social media is extremely important, and because you're trying to compete against Yahoo nutritionist over here, whoever, doing the green juice diet or whatever. So, yes, I do. We use Instagram. I don't even know all the Facebook for the. What else do we use? TikTok. You know, I'm old. I'm not that old, but I feel old because I'm like I don't use any of this stuff. But then we also use like our website, but social media is a big part of it. But I think what's been great is that we are giving patients the self-referral access that they need. Just so you always want to have an open line of communication, right? Because at the end of the day, you're grateful. Like, yes, thank you for sending your patient. And so really what we do on a general basis, unless there's something glaringly obvious or I don't want to say wrong, but I can't think of a better word at this moment in time, is it'll just be a thank you for this referral. Here's a copy of my assessment with my intervention. You know, these were the goals that I set for the patient, and this is the follow-up and the plan of care that I have set for, just so they know what kind of expectation and conversations we have had. If I notice something, I'll call. So, like, I'll give you a for instance. I had a patient that was referred for, I don't even remember, but as we were talking, I was just thinking to myself, she's got an eating disorder. Like, no doubt in my mind, you know, she needs more help than what I can give her, you know, in that scope of things. So at that point, you pick up the phone because who knows if they're really reading my note. I mean, I would hope in a perfect world they're like, yeah, this is awesome, you know, great job, Brooke, or whatever. But for something like that, I think a phone call goes a long way. And it's great because, you know, you are marketing yourself and your services, no matter if you're in the outpatient side particularly. And it helps them build a little rapport and trust with you. So that's what I do.
Do you work, sorry, somebody else raising their hand. Do you work mostly with like physicians in the women's network or all over?
All over. So it's very interesting. Sometimes I don't know how they hear about us.
Yeah.
And my best guess is we have a physician liaison who helps to market our services, so that's fantastic. But I am a huge believer in word of mouth. If you do a good job, or if you don't, people are going to know about it. And, you know, especially with social media, to your point, that they're ready to rock and roll. But I can't tell you how many people I've seen that said, oh, such and such told me I had to see you, and they will not schedule with anyone else. Like, I want to see you specifically. So I believe in the power of word of mouth. I think a lot of our weight loss programs have sustained themselves on word of mouth only, even with the use of social media, because it's always, I saw Olivia and she looked wonderful, and I asked her what she did, and she told me it was bound, and I knew I had to call. So, yes. So, but we see everybody, like we have a great relationship with the Gastroenterology Associates of Louisiana, some pediatric doctors, some endocrinologists, so yeah, all walks of life. So that's the interesting thing about outpatient, or where I'm at, is where we are, we're kind of like the catch-all. We're not, I would say we're specialized in weight loss, but you could kind of see anything at any moment. And so it's nice because it keeps it fresh. You never know what you're going to get. But it's still tame enough to where, you know, I'm not calculating a TPM or whatever. That's just not for me. Don't give me a kidney. I don't want to deal with any of that stuff. Like, it's just, but that's what your internship is for, right? You'll figure that out.
Where did you go for your internship?
I went to Tulane, and at the time, it was a 10-month community-focused program. Loved every second of it. But that was really, I think, where I saw my first glimpse of health inequity. And so that has been a very interesting journey for me, especially because where I work, it is a very targeted population. And so that is why I try to obtain as many grants as I can and still try to make nutrition education accessible to everyone, because I feel like that is a right.
Yeah.
And I do personally believe that food is medicine, and we could do a lot of good if we gave people the foundation and the knowledge to make good decisions.
That's awesome.
And I don't even know if that was the right wording, but you know what I mean.
No,
like,
I got it. It's perfect.
Yeah, so
I feel like you should just have a stamp on my forehead with that.
well, I mean, and one of things that I'm doing right now, which I think is really interesting, and I think this is like the next step. It might take you too much time. I love to talk. Okay. So, well, I mean, it's part of my job, so I have to learn my job. So, is food, the relationship with food and intuitive eating and mindful eating. That's been a really interesting journey that I've worked alongside some people in doing. And this labeling of food as good and bad. So just for any of y'all that are interested in going into outpatient nutrition, I would highly recommend reading that intuitive eating book if you haven't already. It's, in my opinion, it's wonderful. And I think that is where, if we start building relationships, better relationships with healthy food, y'all know what I meant, whatever,
Yeah.
then we'll come a long way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Are they trying to lose weight? I've had a handful that are trying to lose weight, but in that situation specifically, you know, you have to have some type of clinical psychology therapy, someone to walk alongside you, because in that specific instance, your job as a dietitian is science facts. This is what a calorie is. This is what a macronutrient is. This is how many macronutrients and calories your body needs specifically to function. So it is very, like, to the point. They need someone else to go through all the emotional barriers or challenges. I would say the majority of the patients that I work with, we want to lose weight. Some of them is just, I hate to say obvious, you know, you just don't have the education, you have a knowledge deficit, maybe you're sedentary for whatever reason, maybe it could be financial. Other times it's more of that metabolic issue that I was talking about, so PCOS, hypothyroidism, metabolic syndrome, those things, you know, when you have something going on a hormonal level, it just adds another level of difficulty to it. So it's kind of a mix. I would say that the patients with the eating disorders are fewer and farther between. But I have had, you know, some that were had prior diagnoses, and I guess you don't technically ever get rid of your diagnosis, but they have learned to manage it. So, yeah.
I have a question about the grants. How does that work? Does it just defer cost, or what does it do exactly for the patient?
Gives them a free visit.
So how
Or
do
at least
they,
that's how we said it.
how do they find, I'm guessing, how do they find out about that? How to do that? Or do they tell y'all that they can't afford it and you offer that, or?
We offer it to everyone.
Okay.
Just because of that knowledge, when we were verifying benefits and we saw, you know, it wasn't covered 50% of the time, did we really want to turn away a patient who had cancer just because they couldn't pay? I mean, they've already been through months of treatment. Yeah, so
They're already in
so that's when we made the decision that, you know, if we can get them through therapy, which is a revenue capturing service, therapy is covered, right? Then we can utilize these grant funds for some of the things that often aren't covered, like nutrition education and then fitness. So aquatic therapy and things like that. So that was just a personal decision that administration made, and so we offer it to everybody. So that way, if they're not coming, it's because they choose not to come. And so at that point, that's the patient's responsibility, not mine. I did what I felt was right. Any other questions? I hope I didn't bore y'all to tears. I know it's management, so it's not like I'm working with, you know, patients on the daily, but it's just something to consider. It kind of fell in my lap, and you have to be able to have tough conversations. So if you're not that person, then I don't recommend management, but it is fun because alongside those hard conversations, you have a lot of autonomy to make decisions and build and grow things. So if you are creative, which I didn't think I was, then maybe this is something for you. And if y'all want, I can send y'all my email. Y'all can email me. Let me know where you end up. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming.
I appreciate that. Ooh, it's heavy. Oh yeah. Okay. And so, if y'all would So I am, because we have arthritis grant funds, I'm the Walk to Cure Arthritis Chair for this year, and our walk is on May 6th. It is free to come. I need volunteers. I need boots on the ground. So if anybody needs service hours or you just want to do a good deed and help me out, I will write you a letter or whatever you need. I need people. So it's May 6th. Cameron has the sign-up sheet. Olivia
I'll
has the
send
sign-up
it in the
sheet.
reminder or the follow-up email.
I mean, no pressure, but a little pressure. And
Y'all are always asking.
yes,
There's an
please.
opportunity.
And so I was telling Olivia before this started that people love nutrition information. They want to tell you their story. They want to hear what you have to say. They would love if y'all had SNDA, sorry, it's changed, SNDA booth, and you could talk to people from all walks of life. So just as a please and thank you if y'all are interested, a couple of hours. I know it's the day after Cinco de Mayo, so, you know, for what that's worth, I would appreciate it. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you so much for coming.
Alright, so our next meeting is April 25th, and we're actually not going to have a speaker. That's our last meeting, so we're just going to wrap things up. Are we doing the ice cream social? Okay, we're doing an ice cream social also for that meeting. So, if you want free ice cream, you should come. Okay, tracking your volunteer experience. Once again, fill out the form if you volunteer and take pictures, and then we will have service awards at the end of the month. For the, I have a question. For the Ag Magic, whenever you go and you do the thing, does Dr. McKinley get it, or do the volunteers also have to?
But you didn't put it in.
Okay. So if you volunteered for Ag Magic, still fill out the form.
Always fill.
Always fill out the form.
Add pictures.
And pictures. Okay, and we're still doing the t-shirt and sweatshirt sale. Just email Dr. McKinley what you want, and she will tell you if it's available. Okay, tonight is Spirit Night, so be sure to go to Chick-fil-A and mention SNDA. It doesn't cover online mobile orders, so you can't mobile and pick it up. You have to either go through the drive-thru or go inside and mention SNDA. And it ends at 10 p.m., but I think they close at 10, so yeah. Easter baskets. So, Brooke is going to tell us about the Easter baskets.
Yay! Okay, so I'm super excited about Easter baskets coming up because I partnered with my church, the chapel. Partnered with my church called the Chapel, and they are also partnered with Wildwood Elementary School, and a lot of the students that go there, the only way they get is from the lunches that we receive at the school. So I'm excited that we'll be able to offer the Easter basket that we made to the kids there. We have the, well, it says on there, but assembly with the baskets on April 4th from 2:30 to 4. And then we're delivering the baskets behind and anyone that wants to help on Thursday that week before they leave for their spring camp, because they leave on the Friday. So yeah. And then the best way to donate is through Venmo and helping out with that money Thursday, everything. Yes. So.
Janine, did you have a question? I would mention SNDA.
SNDA
They
Spirit.
put me in the email that mentions Spirit.
Okay, so
I'm sure if they know it, you say it.
maybe just say it all together. SNDA Spirit Night.
for SNDA.
Okay, well say them both, please.
Do we have the graphic anymore? For Spirit Night. It's not there anymore.
Oh, somebody reposted.
I'm
Okay.
gonna send it in my group chat.
And then, like I said previously, the Spirit Night the ice cream social, that's gonna be at our last meeting on April 25th. to RSVP so we know how much ice cream to get. And we will also be announcing awards at this dispensation. Alright. March is National Nutrition Month. It's almost over, but there's still Ag Magic going on, and I know that they said they're a little skimpy on volunteers for
If you want
Thursday.
volunteer hours, we need volunteers for the nutrition table at Ag Magic tomorrow and Thursday.
Thank you, Alice.
There's no way if you walk in and say I'm here to help, they'll put you
Yeah,
in.
honestly, like, if you
So-
can't find a day, you go to front table, you're like, I'm here for the nutrition table, they'll tell you to go, then you just show up. It's like, yeah, the shifts are 9 to 11 and 11 to 1.
Or you could work from 9 to 1 if you wish.
Yeah.
They have,
All day.
they give you free lunch
Oh,
if you
you got
work
paid?
from 11 to 1. And they have snacks and water. And pigs and cows for
Oh
you to
yeah,
pay.
you get to see baby chickens and crawfish.
Yeah, they have lots of fun activities. And then dietitians eat donuts. Ladies.
Now you know how it feels.
Dietitians eat donuts in Free Speech Alley on Friday the 31st. So please volunteer. Allison
I.
will be there. And Olivia. Do y'all have anything to add about it? Or?
Go get donuts.
The donuts are gonna fly by, so I recommend going at like 10 a.m. if you want.
What kind of donuts are they?
Mary Lee's. I assume we're getting glazed and chocolate, but I honestly have no idea.
All right.
9 dozen.
Okay.
So.
SNDA awards. Please nominate each other or yourself. If you want to nominate yourself, it's open until April 14th through April 20th. I keep saying 20. April 14th. I'm sorry. And then these are the awards. And the service award is based on points, so especially if you volunteer at Ag Magic, log your points. Okay, and these are the nominees. So for president-elect, we just have Corinne, apparently. And then, do we still vote? Okay. And then for secretary, we have Allison.
Yeah, everyone could have stayed.
And then we have Miranda. And then for treasurer, we have Hannah, Katie, and Cameron. Oh, she's not here. And then member of the month is Hannah. Yay, Hannah!
We're racking up the points, y'all. So you log yourself.
Yeah, this
Did you volunteer? No, you just attended. I did one of those. Okay, yeah, you can do it. Congratulations, Hannah. I'll send y'all your. You gotta print it yourself.
Okay, and then these are just our social medias, Tiger Link, and sign in.